And we're live.
Hi
Hey
guys,
guys,
we're back.
we are back.
Sorry for our absence
We missed a day again.
again.
We had a very good excuse though,
Yes,
which we won't go into right now.
thank you. Yeah, because then I'll start crying and we don't want to get there.
Anyway, rough day yesterday, but here we are. Can you guys see us okay? We're using a new camera today. It may be a little dark because the sun just went behind a cloud, and
The
we're doing
lighting
out.
was perfect like 10
It
seconds
was. It
ago.
was like gorgeous, and then the
Sorry
sun went
about that.
behind a cloud, and woo. Anyway, let us know if you can see us okay. Um,
Hi Rodney.
so, what is today?
I don't know, but you're wearing a whole lot of green right there.
I'm wearing a whole lot of green. Ooh, careful, careful, careful.
So what is today? I'm
Now, don't you know?
oh my gosh. Oh,
It is St. Patrick's Day.
I'm in solidarity.
Coronavirus.
St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, drinking.
God, you see? So
What? You're
uncouth.
drinking a
You're so
coronavirus?
couth. Anyway, so what is today all about?
Partying. Woo!
That's my point.
No,
So, isn't St. Patrick like a saint?
he is a saint, Catholic saint,
Ooh, a Catholic saint. Okay.
indeed.
Um, is that important with regard to the holiday?
I believe the two are sort of mutually exclusive, but they've been mishmashed together.
The two of what?
Uh, holiday and being a saint, theology and secularism.
There we go. Okay. So, go on.
Go
Go
on.
on.
Yeah, so it's Drive the Snakes Out of Ireland Day.
Oh no, not snakes.
Yep.
I'm a snake person. I love snakes. Yeah.
I have
I
to
was gonna
watch
go
my
in
seated
deeper, but it's
position here.
all about snakes as he lifts up his kilt.
Oops.
Anyway.
No, I am arrayed in my kilt today.
He is.
I'm wearing.
Oh, he's gonna model for us. Look at that. Look at this. But you can't even see. The light is so dark.
This is the National Irish Tartan, which, being of somewhat Irish descent, I wear.
Tartan.
Um, and here's the fun part. Woo! Careful.
Careful.
Actually, it's actually fun. Now you messed the camera all up.
Oh, I'm sorry. See?
I've been
Play two.
doing a lot of family history, and I have all kinds of relations that are royalty that go back to Britain and Ireland.
Okay.
One of my direct ancestors' name was Philip Courtenay, and he was the Lord Lieutenant of Ireland under King Richard II, for 10 years. And then his father was Hugh Courtenay. Hugh Courtenay has a huge burial, one of those big knights laying in repose burial things in London.
I went
He's one of
to
the.
go
I know.
to the gravesite in London, and wouldn't you know it, the day that I went, because I had like what 8 hours before I had to catch my flight before I left London, and Trump was there the day that I left London, and unfortunately I couldn't go anywhere.
They
Everything
shut
was blocked
down
off.
the church.
Well, and everything. I mean, not just
Yeah.
the Abbey, but like everything was shut down. Kind of right there around London. I was pissed off at Trump, and it only gets better by day.
So Hugh Courtenay was Philip Courtenay's father. He was one of the founding knights of the Knights of the Garter, and Philip was also one of the Knights of the Garter. So anyway, a little bit of my family history there.
Yay!
So that's why I'm wearing my Irish tartan kilt. And it's St. Patrick's Day now, don't you know? So, snakes, Ireland. Is that where we're at?
Snakes in Ireland, and didn't St. Patrick like drive snakes out of
He
Ireland?
did. He drove all the snakes. In fact, from my understanding, he went back and so when was he alive? Late 300s, early
Yeah.
400s, uh, fourth century AD. He apparently built a time machine, went back in time before the last ice age when there were snakes on Ireland and drove them off. Because then the ice age came and Ireland separated with the channel of water from England, and there was no way for the snakes to even get there. Right? Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, the idea of you're about to spill your coronavirus.
My coronavirus.
The idea of St. Patrick driving the snakes out is probably an analogy for him driving paganism out of Ireland.
Probably.
Because
Indeed.
Yeah, he converted thousands of people, had churches built in his name, all kinds of things by the time he left there. So, oh, there's the sun a little bit coming out of the cloud. So yeah, he battled. Supposedly there was a battle of him against a high-level druid. It's like D&D, high-level druid.
D20.
I don't know what his name was. I didn't say the name, but he had a literally like a magical battle with him, and St. Patrick apparently lifted him up and slammed him back down to the ground, and it broke his skull and killed him. So St. Patrick won. I don't make the stories. I just recite them.
Wikipedia.
I just read Wikipedia.
Just kidding. So one of the things that always really kind of got my attention with regard to St. Patrick.
Hey, Jake. Hey, Bubba.
Hi. Casting out the pagans and casting out the idea of something else being another type of deity or another type of god. So to me, when it comes to casting out snakes, yeah, paganism or evil, as it were, but evil, in my opinion, in that time was much more about the seeking of knowledge. And so knowledge.
Not only that time, but all the way back to the garden.
Exactly. Right? So knowledge of there being something more or being something more deific than the all-important Christian God was what was trying to be cast out. Now, St. Patrick's Day is all about this kind of thing. Corona, fittingly.
Well, and I think.
So why is that?
I think because St. Patrick, that mythology of what he did became so ingrained in the populace, not in Ireland, actually, in the United States, that they became one and the same. So we had a actual theological or an actual theologian and theological history that became a symbol for the country of Ireland. And that has now become just a pure secular holiday. So it's just a mishmash of
secular meaning,
theological and secularism, just worldly. Because most of the St. Paddy's Day, like the parade, the first St. Paddy's Day parade happened in America, not in Ireland. It was immigrants who came over here trying to establish their Irish pride because the Irish were so hated here. So, you know, that all happened here on American soil, not even from Ireland.
You see that in a lot of cultures and a lot of different types of celebrations. Cinco de Mayo, for example, is not celebrated in Mexico, but it is here in the Americas, or in America. Okay, como?
Okay.
Monday. But that's really kind of Western society kind of taking something out of context. And I think that that's the important thing that I wanted to touch on today with regard to St. Patrick's Day.
I think for some reason, Americans have this tendency to just secularize everything. They want to take the true meaning behind it and the anything that has to do with religion or spirituality and rip that out of it and just make it a secular thing. So we have, we see that with St. Patty's Day, Day of the Dead, or Cinco de Mayo is celebration for Mexican independence, but then we also we go to Halloween and Dia de los Muertos, and that's a huge holiday in Mexico, but it's becoming a much more commercialized holiday now in America. We just need to commercialize everything.
And I think that the reason that we tend to do that is because that's the only safe way for us to socially safe. I mean,
because
to
capitalism.
Celebrate. Because, well, not only that. I mean, that's a whole other argument. Losing my coronavirus again. That's a whole other argument. I should probably drink this thing, right? It's a whole other thing. It's my prop for today.
It's a prop. She's not even gonna drink it.
Oh yes, I will. But no, it's that's something that I think I've noticed. We try to make something so much more mainstream and culturally relevant to where we can, maybe this is a way of us celebrating in secret and being able to celebrate different things with a community. I don't know that that's really a conscious effort that humans are making, but maybe some kind of unconscious thing that we're in unconscious and conscious is a very big umbrella to talk about here.
What if we go down a little different tack here? What about the bullying mentality?
What about it?
Well,
with regard to what we're talking about right now.
Yeah. So many people are bullied for their spiritual beliefs. Many people are bullied for lots of things. I'll give you a good example. I was in Boy Scouts. I was in Boy Scouts, went through the whole thing, got my Eagle Scout. I was embarrassed to go places in my Scout uniform because I would get bullied by people that were in my high school. So that tends to make people want to hide those kinds of things. So if we take something like a spirituality, how many witches, Wiccans, magicians are in the closet because of fear of persecution and bullying. So maybe that's why we tend to commercialize these things, because it gives us a front that we can put up and say, oh, look, I'm not really celebrating the Day of the Dead. This is just a commercial thing. I get to paint my face because it looks cool. When the reality is some people like us actually celebrate that and give offerings to our dead.
It's
and
not allowed thing.
Exactly. So, that bullying mentality that we seem to have as humans, probably more than just Americans, but that bullying mentality tends to push that kind of spirituality and things underground a little bit.
But why?
Why do people bully?
Yeah, why do we feel that we need to push something like that underground to where we can make it a social construct and a cultural thing?
Jake.
Sore hours, indeed. So Jake said it does make it hard for traditional witchcraft practitioners or pagans to sneak away and actually celebrate the holidays as it was meant to, as opposed to alcohol use. I'm down with both of those. But just kidding. When it comes to an excuse to celebrate, I think that Americans tend to kind of come up with something as an outlet or as a reason to. And if it's socially accepted, then of course we're all going to live it up. Unfortunately, it tends to devolve very much away from the intended celebrations at the outset when any kind of celebration was even started. So that is really kind of my concern when it comes to developing a social construct around celebration, especially when it comes to things that are huge, like St. Patrick's Day. I'm not sure how we can really bring something into the masses without it being a mass effort. One of the things, since you brought up Day of the Dead, the movie Coco, I think, is an excellent example of kind of what Latin America really believes when it comes to their dead. And I thought that it was beautiful in the way that it portrayed the daily rituals, the daily things that happen, the oranges, as it were. of how things really started. And we've gotten so far away from that that I worry that now we're devolving into something that is almost demeaning to that culture and demeaning to the religion and the very real spiritual processes that people tend to go through.
Then again, things like Coco make things like celebrating Dia de los Muertos more acceptable and a little bit more of a social norm.
Absolutely.
So
So it needs to be done in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of my goal, I know for sure. And part of yours is bringing paganism as an overall umbrella to the masses and trying to come up with something that is concrete that people can do on a daily basis, something that is um, tangible to our very physical and spiritual lives. So, sorry to go off on that tangent, but back to bullying.
No,
I
think I
that's
said
a
my piece on that.
big thing.
I think there's a conglomeration of like lots of things that happen, and I think things like bullying, for example, and bullying, persecution, however you want to look at that, whatever term you want to use, has become such an accepted thing that when some of us see it, especially those of us who have been bullied for various things, when we see it, it's obvious. But there's obviously a lot of people in this country that when they see it, they think that's normal and acceptable behavior.
Well, like today, when we went to go, so we are isolated out here in the desert.
Woo-woo.
Yeah. We went, we had to go into town today. We struggled about it for like an hour, whether or not we wanted to go or whether we should. So we decided to go anyway, amidst all of this self-isolation recommendation.
We got our hand sanitizer and
everywhere.
rubber gloves.
We don't touch anything. But beyond all of that, we did decide to go in. And we went shopping to a few different places to go try to find some produce and some necessities that we had. We couldn't find anything for the last week, probably at least. We decided to go in today.
Well, we got a lot of our stuff. There's certain stuff that
some
we
things
can't
like
find,
produce, fresh meat, dairy, a lot of that thing that you kind of need to re-up on the regular basis. So we went in and we saw these groves just on the side of the highway. Not a big deal. So we're like, okay, we kind of looked around. We drove back and forth because there was a fire on the other side of the grove.
Two fires.
Two fires. We didn't know what they were for, but they were huge and we could see the flames above the treetops. So we decided to go check it out, make sure everybody was okay. Everybody was okay. But we went and checked and there were these groves just along the side of the road. And we decided to stop because we don't have any fruit. We've been looking for fruit. We were lucky to find some bananas a few days ago, but we're almost out of those. So we now need to get some fruit for our kids. And we do have canned fruit and other things like that, but we need fresh produce. So I decided to, hey, let's stop by the side of the road and get some citrus.
To clarify, this is like abandoned field, and a couple of these orange trees had limbs that were just loaded with oranges, literally like hanging
falling
almost
off
over the
road. Yeah.
So
tons of them.
It's not like we were stealing from people.
No, and it
people's
wasn't
yards or anything.
Yeah, it was not an established grove or anything. So we decided, we looked around, made sure it was okay, and we
grabbed a few oranges.
And as soon as we did, I don't know how many cars
started stopping and doing
behind us because they were doing the same thing, and I found it amazing that it just took one person to do the right thing. I mean,
trailblazers.
Well, is it the right thing? We're stealing fruit from the side of the road. Granted, there's an argument to be made for that, but at the same time, I think it's important to realize that once one person goes and decides to help their greater good, and for us, that greater good was just our family to get some more fruit, other people did too. And then we saw people start to get off the side of the road and start to go into the forested area of where all those fruits were. Again, it wasn't a established grove or anything that was selling anything. Incidentally enough, the dole plant is about 5 miles away from that, so not far. So yeah, I found it really interesting that.
Well, and so
that people help
going down that route. How many times have we been at a stoplight and we give $1 you're looking in your rearview mirror and there's like 20 cars behind you. And as soon as you hand the dollar out to a homeless guy on the road, all of a sudden there's like 5 or 6 other people behind you holding it out as well. Peer pressure or recognizing that something's okay to do sometimes throws a switch and people go, oh, it's okay to do that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Anyway, we're getting this social commentary there. So I'll stay away from that. Kind of a bit away from St. Patrick's Day, but the same thing, kind of talking about social persecution and whether or not somebody can worship or observe a deity as they want to, or as they need to, or as they feel compelled to, or indeed as the deity compels them to. So what do we do there? How do we observe something without turning it into just a day to get drunk? Because
taking
it's
a drink
Tuesday.
Of her coronavirus.
It's Taco Tuesday, guys, by the way.
Well, and I mean, I'm not answering your question.
Thanks.
But along the same lines of peer pressure, acceptance, bullying, all that, somewhere in my kilt today.
Cultural appropriation.
There are people who would see me wearing tennis shoes with my kilt that would have a fit. You can't wear those kinds of shoes with a kilt.
It's not.
You have to wear the proper kind of shoes with a kilt. Or some people might choose not to wear a spur-an with their kilt. You can't wear a kilt without a spur-an. Well, you can. Is it traditional and the accepted way? No. But that's, there again, you get into that whole arena of somebody saying this is how it has to be done. And it takes somebody to go outside of that box and say, no, look, it's okay to do it this way if it works and if it's acceptable. My tennis shoes work just as well. Actually, my tennis shoes work better than the dress shoes you would normally wear with kilt, because out here with all these rocks in this pad area we're on, those dress shoes would get completely torn up. So,
So you're respecting the shoes that go along
right?
with the reverence. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. And, how do you do it? I think if you're trying to take something that's already socially established and reverse engineer it back into its original intent, that's pretty tough to do, except on a personal or a small group basis. Trying to do something like that nationally, pretty tough to do, unless you have a national platform. Coco. I don't know who wrote, produced, directed, whatever the movie Coco, but whoever did it did their research, did their homework, or they already knew about it. I know Pixar did. Talking the individuals. And they have injected into social consciousness now into American social consciousness, a whole new thread that was just something that we saw once in a while. You see pictures of the parades during the Day of the Dead and people with their face painted, sugar skulls, and American people are like, wow, that's not sure about that.
Ooh, that's dark and scary.
Now we've got a kids movie that teaches adults what this is about. And so now you've got a whole new viewpoint on that injected into our social consciousness. So, having a national platform, or a huge platform like that certainly can help, I think. But
if it's done the right way.
Yeah, of course.
Moana is another good example, but if you look at something like, no offense, and I love this movie, but Aladdin. If you look at Aladdin in the time it was made, it seemed okay. It seemed like it was just highlighting a portion of the world that we're not used to seeing. But now you look and watch Aladdin, and it's like, oh my goodness, how un-PC is that?
There are a lot of Atlanteans that I know that are really upset about The Little Mermaid. Just saying.
You just lost half our following right there.
Yeah.
Nothing against Atlanteans or Lemurians.
For any Atlanteans and Lemurians that may be following. Anyway.
I mean, if we want to get into weird conspiracy theories, probably the
Not
weirdest
so
you
much.
can get into
Not
it
right
with.
now.
So,
No.
no, I do totally love Atlanteans and Lemurians. I don't know what to talk about with them. Yeah. So today has been kind of a crazy day for us. Kind of getting back on our feet after it seems like the news is moving so quickly these days. It's like every hour there's something new. Every hour there's new statistics and new rules and regulations about what we can and or should not do. Um, so thank you guys for being patient with us in this whole new stream of things that we're doing. We are trying to make things a lot more consistent, and I think we'll do that.
All right. Well,
Yay!
so this is one of the problems that you run into when you live in remote locations.
In the middle of nowhere.
We lost our hotspot access for a minute there and had to switch over to a tablet instead of our laptop. So
I'm really hoping that you guys did not see the live
what
version.
happened in between? If you did,
We're human. We're human.
So anyway, I think we covered pretty much everything, but you know, happy St. Patty's Day. Be safe.
Yay! Stay safe.
Don't drink coronavirus.
Always drink Corona. Don't get coronavirus.
By the way, that's the fact that people are not drinking Corona beer over coronavirus. Is that not like one of the weirdest things ever?
So we went to the liquor store the other day, and all of the beer shelves were empty. Tons of Corona everywhere. How ridiculous is that? I'm sorry, but that's
anyway.
People.
So this is just our closeout video. Take a look at the other live video from today if you want to watch the whole thing. Sorry about that. It happens sometimes when you're out in the middle of nowhere.
But yeah, look at where we are. I tried to show you guys this the other day, and hopefully I won't ruin it again.
Whoa! Kilt here.
Oh, look, see, we have a new neighbor. Kilt. Oh gosh, he has a kilt. There's our new neighbor.
Yep. So.
Yeah, that neighbor just showed up today.
What's really pretty here, and you guys can't, I'm sure you can't see it on here, the western horizon.
Oh, the sunset.
The sunsets here are gorgeous.
Incredible.
And the horizon itself looks like these, I don't think it's sand, but it looks like sand dunes. It might be. But it looks like these sand dunes.
They are sand dunes.
They're really gorgeous.
It's Mexico.
There. Yeah. Well, no, that's California. Mexico's that way. We're only a mile from the Mexico border. We could walk about 25 minutes south of us and hit the Mexican border. In fact, we see border patrol cars driving along the ridge over there. We had binoculars out yesterday looking, and we could see a border patrol truck driving right along the border.
But there was a border patrol truck that went right here, right here, right by our rig.
I told Julie she better run. Like, run, Julie, run!
I was scared. It's not funny. It kind of is funny because, I mean, I'm completely legal. I am.
We want to stop him and, like, get a video of him chasing Julie.
No, I just want him to come running down the road.
How horrible is that?
And I just want to, like, run behind
Start
him.
running.
I don't want to get shot, though, so I probably should not do that.
Not a good idea.
We do have a lot of helicopters come by, though, and so we just step outside of our rig, and they know that we're part of the rig, and we are on U.S. BLM land, so we are okay to be here.
Yeah. Well, there's a Marine Corps base just south of Yuma, so we get a lot of helicopter and airplane traffic, like fighter jet traffic that's going to the air base there, or the Marine Corps base.
The city we're in is technically called Felicity. Population 2.
Dos.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway.
Which is pretty cool. I wonder who those two people are. It's probably those people down at that house over there.
Right. Oh, there's the sun again. Find that.
Da, 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 da.
Well, thank you guys. Like I said, check out the other video. This is just this short one. We just got our internet back and decided to close it out really quick. But The other video about St. Patty's Day is, I believe it's already posted, but we'll double check
I don't know.
after
We'll see.
this. And other than that, tomorrow, are we going to do the herbal coronavirus thing?
So I have some hesitations on. I've had a lot of friends do like a coronavirus update with regard to herbalism and herbal medicine. I'm really, really nervous about putting something like that out there, considering the following that we have. I don't want to give, of course, I wouldn't give false information, but I don't want people to misconstrue the information that I do give. So I'm debating whether or not we're going to do a coronavirus thing tomorrow, but I think I will. If anything, I will definitely do a coronavirus what not to do.
Yes, I think that's more important.
With
or
regard to herbal
what
medicine.
not to believe.
Kind of debunking some of the people who are poaching and trying to take advantage of people out there just looking for information.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my goal.
Alrighty.
Yay!
Well, thank you guys. Thanks for rejoining after we lost
If you know anybody in the Felicity, California area who could help with lost animals, please do let us know.
Yep. Hit us up. Drop us a line.
I'm missing my magic kitty. So yeah.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Hasta mañana.